Hi, I'm Gregg Reichman. I'm the owner and throttleman of the X Insurance Moxie Racing Superstock 88 offshore race boat. If you're interested in performance boating or offshore racing, hopefully you'll be watching our team in the latter part of 2025. Our first race of the National Racing Circuit will be in St. Petersburg, Florida. And this is my first time back in a canopied offshore race boat since 2008, so I've been away from the sport for quite a long time. I'm 64 years old. I think I'm probably the oldest person in the class, so I'm going to go out and see if I can teach those youngsters a few lessons about being older and wiser, and how that possibly transmits into the race boat and the race team, and some success on the race course. So it should be an interesting year for the X Insurance Moxie Racing Superstock 88 racing team. We'll have a lot of social media content on X and Facebook and Instagram. And if you are following along with those platforms, we hope that you'll be watching us and rooting for us and cheering us on, and come to the races if you're in the area. All the schedules are published on the various racing organizations, or you can just do a search for Superstock Offshore Racing, and you can see a lot of information about our class, in addition to my teammates with X Insurance racing in the Class 1 arena, in addition to Supercat and some other classes. So the people at X Insurance, Rick and Parker Lindsay, have a number of different teams that they sponsor in addition to their own boats. And we have a big team, and we'll have a big presence. And so go X Insurance. And hopefully everyone will be cheering on our teams all year and into the years to come. So no, I opened the doors on my own, did whatever was necessary, learned as much as I could learn, as fast as I could learn it, because I'm a big believer in having my own ecosystem and understanding what's happening with the boat, how to work on the boat, how to make the boat better, or race cars. I want to know myself. I don't want to be reliant on third parties or other people, because you're only going to be as good as they are. And so I wanted to be better than that all the time. And for me, it's really important to have an understanding of how to make things better, what the boat needs, what it's telling you with the way that it's running, and so that I could rely on my own skill set and understand. I think it's the most difficult motorsport to actually win. And the reason I say that is because it takes two people to run these boats. You don't have to run them with two people, but that's what the sport has adopted. So you have a driver and a throttleman. So you need two people to be perfect for the whole day, and you need a piece of equipment that's perfect for the whole day to win. So it's unlike any other motorsport. I think the only other thing that comes close is maybe rally car racing, where they have a driver and a navigator, and the navigator plays a significant part, but he's not driving the car, he's not steering it, he's not running the gas, he's not doing any of that. One person does that. In our sport, it takes two people. So if the driver has a bad day, doesn't matter how good the throttleman is, and if the throttleman has a bad day, it's probably going to be a bad day for the driver, and the equipment has to be perfect. So you've got, it's a big hurdle to have that many elements that have to be perfect to win. And so that, I like that part of it. And, I have an affinity for the water and going fast on the water, and it gets in your blood. The people in the sport are very competitive. They can be very confrontational, egotistical. I like that. I like dealing with those personalities. I deal with them every day in my business, and I don't mind that. I kind of gravitate towards people like that. They're a pretty good match for me. So, and the venues are nice. You're in destination resort venues for the most part racing. You're not at some drag strip in, the middle of nowhere. So I like all of it. And I like how hard it is to be successful, because I don't quit. So I just keep digging. And I think this is a good sport if you have that approach, where it'll take all the digging you want to do. So. It's 100%. And, with the X Insurance support and Rick Lindsay and really everybody there that I've dealt with so far, they're great, easy to deal with. They're very interested. He has a massive commitment to the sport. He's got a couple Class 1 boats that he owns. He owns the teams, all the equipment, and he sponsors a select group of people, including us. And we have a top tier operation that we'll be bringing to the table, and I think will be a good addition for him. But it's important for me to treat it like a business. I'm not a hobby racer. I've never been a hobby racer. And it's at the level that we're doing it, you have to treat it like a business because the expense is exorbitant, the time commitment is exorbitant, and you have to keep it up. It's not just getting all this stuff, it's feeding it. It's easy to buy a jet, but paying for the cost of it, a whole nother thing. It's sort of like the same thing with an offshore race team. You consume parts and things, and the people. You need people to help, and all this equipment has to be moved around by somebody. I can only drive one thing at a time, and so it's a massive effort and a big commitment. And so it is a team. It is a business to me. And if it stops becoming a business, I'll stop doing it. I'm not gonna ever be a hobby racer, or I'm not a wealthy philanthropist who wants to have some people that run a boat for him. I'm in the boat. I'm going to be involved. I know how to use every tool and all the toolboxes that we have, and I'm committed to that. And we're in the racing business, and we also happen to race the boat. But any time I've been involved with racing, I've tried to do that. And but this is 100% business for us, which we also have the good fortune of being able to race the boat. So. I think it reinforces that you have to just keep digging to get more out of yourself. I can remember leaving race sites when I got a bad result, and you're just thinking, man, I just don't want to do this anymore. It's just too hard. It's too expensive. It takes too much time. But I'm competitive at a level where it makes me mad. I get mad when I lose. Not like a baby, although sometimes I probably appear that way. I don't accept it. Like, I'm not accepting losing. I'm just not. I'm going to figure out a way to improve it. And this sport will do that to you, because it's the same amount of, I was just talking to David about this at lunch. It's the same amount of work to get last place as it is to get first place. It's a massive undertaking just to make a start. And so I think it's made me better in business, because you got to keep focused. Even if you have failures, you learn more from failures than you ever learn from successes. When you're successful, everybody loves each other. It's easy to be happy. And you learn more about yourself when you have failures. And you figure out how much metal you have in you in terms of intestinal fortitude. And this sport will test you, because it's better. Breakage was a huge thing, much more prevalent when I raced previously. Now the technology is better. The engine technology is better. This class, particularly, most of the boats finish. They don't really have a lot of breakage. But I think it reinforces not allowing yourself to be defeated, even if you get defeated, because there's a difference. You can be defeated, but that's different than being, as a person, being defeated. When I get defeated, I get pissed off. I'm like, I got to do better. What can we do? What changes can we make? What changes can I make? What did I do wrong? So I never have a thought of quitting. If I won 1,000 races in a row, maybe I'd say, okay, that's enough. But I think that's part of it. But I don't know that the sport did that to me. I think that's just kind of in my DNA. The sport reinforces it. I think if you get away from doing something like this and you're just kind of cruising for a while, maybe you lose that energy. But I never lost it. I'm faced with it every day in my business, and I just transition it to the race course when we're doing it. First, we want to represent X Insurance well, which I think we will. We've made the investment in equipment. We'll have a very strong presentation at the race site. Very comprehensive promotion for them and for Rick. And that's important, because that's a part of the business of offshore racing. As far as on the course performance, there's for sure going to be a learning curve. I haven't been in a boat in a canopied race boat since 2008. I've spent thousands of hours in air entrapment catamarans running over 100 miles an hour. So I have a big skill set there, and a lot of time faster than that. Same with David. But what I want to do is A, control my environment, B, create my own ecosystem, which with David on board, I think we have that. And with X Insurance, I think we have that. And then show continual improvement. I don't expect to go out and run with, the Gary Balloos and the Steve Torrentes of the world day one. But I think we will, and I don't think it'll take that long. Or Sean Torrente, pardon me. Sorry, Sean. But and David and I are same on this. We're going to need to improve. So I think we'll start out, and I think we'll have the ability to have a competitive boat based on the equipment. The equipment's super important in this sport. Like I said, there's some really talented guys right now running with bad equipment, and they're just not a factor. They're not at the front. So as long as we continue to improve, that would be my goal. We've sort of said we have a race in mind on our calendar where we've said by this race we want to be a top 5 boat. I think we'll be able to achieve that. But if we are not, we'll be working to achieve it. And then we'll continue to make whatever improvements we need to make, either through skill set or through with our equipment, so that we are. And then we're not going to stop until we're there. So, and we won't have any barriers other than the barriers we set for ourselves. We won't have any economic barriers. We won't have any equipment barriers. It'll be a big learning curve. It looks easy when you watch the races on TV. It's not. Running these boats is a trick. And, it's running a boat in a lake like Havasu, where we are today, or any of these lakes, or even in the ocean, or with your buddies. This is not what offshore racing is. It's super intense. It's very demanding, and to run all day perfectly and not make any mistakes is just very difficult to do. Requires a very rare skill set. Having the pieces come together with the relationship with David, so I have someone I can count on and I trust, and with his skill set, which is very rare. Having the ability financially to put the team together at this stage of my life. And I recognizing that I'm 64, I don't think about that I'm 64. I hear it from other people. It's not the first time someone said that to me. Why do you want to do this at 64? I've been on the perimeter of it ever since I stopped racing. I've had very fast pleasure boats, and it's the only reason I go pleasure boating, is to find people to run and to try to test my speed, my ability, and my performance against theirs. But that's the most dangerous thing you can do in performance boating. People don't think about it that way, but it's the truth. I don't think about it in the way that you presented it. Why do it at 64? I've always wanted to do it again. I just didn't have either didn't have the dollars to do it, or didn't have the time to do it, or didn't have someone else to do it with. And I had a vision come together of being able to create, like I said, I keep saying this, but my own ecosystem, which I'm very committed to, where I don't rely on other people, because in this sport, people aren't going to really help you. They can be nice to you, but helping you beat them, they're not going to help you beat them. They'll share just enough information to be pleasant, but you have to control your own destiny, and you do that with knowledge, skill, and with money. And so we have those things, and that would be the reason to come back. 64, I'll keep doing it until I can't do it. I mean, if I get to a point where I'm either ill or my body can't take it, I'll quit. I'm not going to punish myself to do it, but I feel pretty good. So
Gregg's probably the most energetic 64-year-old person I've ever met. He makes me feel old.
Well, it's interesting. You don't see a lot of. This is not, the sport is so small that it's not like an NHRA event or IndyCar or Formula One, where you have this massive fan base. I mean, most of the time when we're racing in a city, the people that live in the city don't even know we're there, except for big events like Key West. So what I would say is, I think it's the same advice you'd give anybody that's interested in any particular motorsport, is try to get involved in some way and start meeting people that are in the sport, and team owners and crew members, and try to become a crew member first, learn how things are done. And inevitably, there's a shortage of, we actually had a difficult time filling crew positions for this team that we're just building. So I would say, go to the races, educate yourself on what's going on, meet as many people as you can, and try to become involved as a crew member or a helper on a team, even if it's for free, just to start learning about it. And it won't be too long if you do that and you're good at it and you're reliable and all those things and you're honest. Someone will say, hey, we want you to become more involved with us, and before you know it, you'll be on a team. And you get old enough to jump in a boat, someone will give you an opportunity. And that's just start by learning about it and creating an environment where you have some value to people that are doing it, to where they'll want you to be a part of what they're doing. I don't care about the legacy. Honestly, if you notice, I mean, there was a time when this shop, this is here in Havasu, my home shop was populated with trophies and pictures and all this stuff from years gone by, and I threw it all in a dumpster about a year ago because I don't think that's important. I mean, I think that the more you anchor yourself to legacy or thinking that's what you're doing, I think it's a hamstring for the future, because you can look back on the things you did. So I set an APBA kilo record, which I did this, I did that. And nobody cares about that. You think it's only important to you. I mean, I have had people come in this shop and when it was filled with photos of me racing boats and cars and all this stuff, nobody even asks any questions. It's only important to you. And for me, I want to look forward to what I'm going to do into the future. I don't really care I don't care, and I don't think anybody else cares what you did in the past. And candidly, I don't even like talking about it. And it's very hard to talk about offshore racing to people, especially pleasure boaters, because they don't really understand what it is. They think they do. You can't have a conversation with them. You sound like a know-it-all when you start asking too many questions. So over the years, I've just learned just to not even really engage about it. But I'm more interested in the future than I am the past, and I couldn't care less about legacies. I want to accomplish things into the future. If we achieve 90% of what we're setting out to do, we'll be really successful. And we have a long-term commitment with X Insurance, so we're going to be doing this for a number of years to come. I'm more focused on that. I don't care about history. We also have a dialogue with the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Florida, which I started a few months ago. I had a discussion with Rick Lindsay from X Insurance about it, asked him if he thought that would be okay if we started to involve Make-A-Wish at the races. He was all about it. In fact, he said, look, I'll get a couple of my other teams to be involved with it. And so we thought that would be an interesting thing, is to get some of these kids with terminal illnesses who maybe, not a lot of people get to sit in these boats, ride in these boats, even the big exotic pleasure boats. It's a rare thing. And so we're, to the extent that Make-A-Wish wants to proceed with that, they sounded like they did. We'll be doing that as well, which will be kind of a nice diversion from the stress of the racing environment, and something people will remember, because you go for a ride in one of these boats, you remember it, especially if it's completely foreign to you, like you haven't done it before. And most people like it. I mean, I've never had anybody come out of one of these boats after a high-speed run and go, well, that was terrible. That's not the kind of response you get. Most people are scared of fast boats because some idiot who didn't know what they were doing took them out in a boat and scared them. Didn't know how to run the boat, ran it over their head, or wanted to scare them, and then they did. Now they never want to go on a boat again. And I've had that response from lots of people. And I take them out, and we'll run 140 miles an hour. They don't even know we're going 140 miles an hour. And after we're done, they're like, well, when can we go again? Like, nobody says, oh, that was terrible. It's exciting. And it's a very unusual thing to do, on the water, running like that. Oh, I mean, I think we'd like to have multiple world championships in our class. We're also looking at, we've had some very preliminary discussions about adding a second boat in another class, which we're quite capable of doing. We're not in a rush to do it. But, in a perfect world, probably have another boat in an inboard class and run two boats and win world championships in both classes. I mean, every single year. I mean, the likelihood of that is probably not super high, but that would be, we're only going there to win races and represent X Insurance responsibly, and deliver value for them for what they're giving us. Success on the race course, super important. We don't like to get beat. I mean, at anything. And I don't plan on getting beat at this very long. Hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about the X Insurance Moxie Racing Superstock 88 offshore racing team. And we'll be looking forward to interacting with you throughout the year and throughout the season as we go race to race with our new team in this big effort, and hopefully see some wins and hopefully a championship next year. So thanks for taking an interest in the X Insurance Moxie Racing Superstock 88 offshore racing team. See you next time.